How do you go from an outline, which you've just written as part of the previous exercise, to a full and good personal statement? If I summarize the entire process that we're going through today, or at least the first part of it, um, you want to go from, how do you go from deciding what you want to study in university to having a full personal statement complete? Well, first you decide what course you want to study and write about as part of your personal statement. And then, as we've just done, you'll write your one sentence thesis that answers what you want to study in university and why. And then you're going to create the outline, which includes the thesis and then the topic sentence for each body paragraph. One topic sentence being on your passion for the subject, another one being how your academics demonstrate that passion, another topic sentence being how your extracurriculars or work experience demonstrate that passion, and finally, um, how you'll contribute to your environment and perhaps how your academic passions will lend nicely to your professional aspirations. Once you've written the thesis and created the outline, you're basically done with planning the personal statement. And everything after that is writing the essay or the personal statement. So you'll first write the body paragraphs that support each of the topic sentences in your outline. Once you're done with those, you're going to write your opening paragraph. And once you're done with that, you're going to write your closing paragraph. I'm illustrating this whole process as sequential, and it is sequential. However, it's also an iterative process, meaning you might write your thesis and then create your outline and then decide you don't like your thesis. So you're going to rewrite your thesis and then rewrite your outline. You might finish the outline and start writing the body paragraphs and decide, you know what? I need to rework the outline. And that's fine. This process, this entire process could take a day. It could take a couple of months. So the timeline here I'm including is just a suggested timeline. It really depends on how much time you want to dedicate to this exercise. But keep in mind that it might take time for you to perfect each of these steps. So make sure you dedicate the right amount of time. When you're trying to go from the outline that you just created and to a good personal statement, there are a few different elements you need to be aware of. These are elements that admissions officers are judging your writing on, and they're judging your personal statement on. The first one is voice. You know, the admissions officers and the universities are going to have a lot of information about you through your transcripts and your standardized test scores and perhaps your CV or resume. But the personal statement is really the one opportunity where you get to have your voice heard. And so the question is, when I read your personal statement, is the writing personable? Can I hear your voice in the writing? Do I feel like there's someone who's speaking to me? The second element to keep in mind is clarity of thought. So how clearly are you delivering the messages in your personal statement? Are you clearly answering the question of what you want to study in university and why? Structure is another critical element. And we've spent a good amount of time in this session talking about structure. How structured is your writing? Is there a clear, identifiable thesis? Are there clear topic sentences? Is there an opening and a closing? Structure helps with voice and clarity of thought. The next element to discuss is content. So you have good structure, you have good voice. Are you providing good, meaty content in your personal statement? Are you going to the appropriate level of detail, using examples and short stories to prove your points? Those are important to make your writing relatable to whoever's reading your personal statement. You also want to think about writing flow. So, does your writing flow well? Does it read smoothly? And is it pleasurable to read? Here, it's important to note that you want to make sure your language is plain. You want to make sure your sentence structures are not complex, that they're simple, because the plainer and simpler the language is, the more easy it is to read. And you don't want to get into very fancy language or complex sentence structures, because it's just painful for an applicant, for an admissions officer to read. And then finally, grammar. This one is a must-have, which means You won't get any bonus points for having good grammar, but you'll lose lots of points for having poor grammar. So make sure you don't have any typos in the personal statement. Make sure there are no grammatical errors. And if you need to, ask someone to proofread the personal statement before you submit it. Ultimately, all of these elements will help you to convert your outline into a good personal statement and will help the admissions officers and the universities to better know you and understand you and your passions.